this time, we want to open the meeting of the Carver Conservation Commission for June 5th, 2019. First order of business is...
I just have one quick thing to tell you.
First order of business is have the agent tell me what to do here.
Well, somebody has to tell you. We have an unanticipated thing, and I think the people are here from Cranebrook. So I thought since they were here, we could talk to them.
Okay.
So we went out today when we were doing the site visits, and we noticed that there was a little addition kind of on the back of Cranebrook, right on the pond, and which we didn't have, a filing for. So I called Maria, and Aman? No. Oh, okay, because I spoke to him too. Okay, if you can come up if you want. And just said that they're supposed to file blah blah. So I said that I asked them to come in, and then we could tell them to notice of intent. And I think there might be other things they need to do back there, so I figured they could put it all in one.
Is this back where the
So
deck
kind
is?
of sign in, please.
It's right, right in the, well, if you look at Cranebrook from the street, it's kind of, around to the back, right behind the pond.
Yeah, there is a deck alongside.
Deck there, yeah, but then this was to the, kind of the right of that, coming off, I think it comes off the kitchen.
On the east side of the building.
The old restaurant.
Oh, the old restaurant, okay.
So they did get a building permit for it, I think. But so that might have
Well,
been
if there
some
was-
confusion and stuff,
Well, I know they went before planning,
For,
the whole restaurant and all that stuff. They went for, and you got a permit from the select board, correct?
Yes.
All of those agencies
Yeah, so
should be
everybody's got
notified,
everything but
though,
us.
that before they can grant any approval like that, the Conservation Commission has to.
I was
approve it.
surprised the building didn't catch that.
Jim.
Yes.
Then it's 100 feet.
This is Fremont, this is the restaurant, that's
Anything
the
back?
kitchen, that's already in it.
That's a plan that I had.
That's there.
Yeah.
That was there.
The new one, like,
They put a
it's hard to
building
tell with how
out
those
behind
ones.
it.
That's the deck right in the water. So anything, the whole building's within 100 feet.
Well, it's an existing deck, so what are they doing?
Right, but this was a new building.
This is.
Addition. No, that's not, I don't even think, I don't know what
What
it was a little storage.
You know, the big problem is
Is
that
it an opera, is it a...
Behind the freezer?
the people that approved
Is it
it,
a shack or?
they should, they should know that they can't
So
approve it.
they gotta file an
without
NOI.
our approval.
Who approved it?
Okay, well,
Building
then,
apparently,
So-
the building
so that's all we'll
department,
tell. But that's why I asked
and
them
then
to come.
the planning board looked
Everybody
at it
free food.
and apparently approved it. So
Or if it's less than $50, it's not a gift.
free $49 food.
$49.99.
All right.
So
Brooke
Al,
and I have decided
Not-
that we get
cocktails.
free $49.99 or less food.
oh, great.
Where we go?
Can't be under 50.
It has to be under 50 unless it's, it won't be a gift.
Alan,
That's legitimate.
did you know
Butter
about
sandwiches.
this being put up or?
Not.
No. But you know it was approved?
It was approved, the selectmen gave them the licensing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure you also went to planning, am I incorrect?
We filed, we filed all the paperwork needed, but that was needed to actually do the work.
Right.
But on the building that, what's in question, that was actually a fence, a wooden fence and bushes.
Yeah,
And, the fence was actually rotten, so therefore we took it down and we figured out, you know what? While we're at it, why don't we make a little storage for the kitchen?
I think this is, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think this is simply, they didn't, I think it's legit, they didn't know.
Oh,
That's right.
They got permitted
But
from,
the thing
they
is-
they got the okay from the select board, you're correct. The select board should have said, have you been to?
yes.
And I'm not sure they did that.
Building
So we're
department.
going to spank the selectmen.
Well, they went
After
before,
that,
And the building department.
Alan, they went before planning too?
I think they did go before planning, but I wouldn't swear to it, because Stephen's usually really good about sending them to conservation
saying.
first.
So why would they have to go to planning though?
I don't get
Well,
it.
they would have needed to go to planning for signs and stuff like that.
Oh,
And actually, just even the placement of
Business
another building.
license, Yeah.
Yeah, it needs, the building inspector has to look at things
I
like
know,
that.
I know. See, that's why I know, I
Okay.
asked. I
It may
said
have
that
only
to-
been the building
We'll work on
inspector,
it.
so we'll work with
It's-
this.
Yeah.
The building
Chances are we
inspector
can find
gave a
way to
go on
approve
it?
Well,
I don't disagree.
I asked Bob Francis about it, and he
But
said he
I
thought
think in the application,
storage
doesn't
thing
it?
was somewhere else in the front of the building. I'm
The-
like, well, it's in the back, so he didn't go out.
I think we need to see the signed plans
Yeah.
from the from the building inspector.
Yep,
Let's
okay,
get-
but I
let's
also,
get
I
the
did get a
paperwork.
site plan, which wasn't, this is the portion that shows what we were looking at
But
today.
there must be a file downstairs,
Yep,
Well,
yep.
and
but-
if not in the selectman's office, because they issued the permit also.
And that was
I
filed,
was
but for
here
some
when they
reason,
issued that permit.
Bob
Right,
Francis didn't see that plan that
This-
showed the pond.
This does not show the addition.
Right.
Well, that shows the little storage building.
No,
I
it
think
does
that's in
not.
question.
It doesn't.
No,
Is
no,
what
it
it said?
doesn't. No, that was there. The storage building, can I draw on this?
Yes, oh yeah,
It's
The
up behind
storage
that.
building now goes out here.
it was 20,
And this is 25 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that
No.
that was pointing to
No, I
this.
I don't,
that was the only only site plan I could find, so I'm not sure what that was filed with.
Okay.
It wasn't filed with building, 'cause
in the application for the building department.
The one.
Dave Schneider, that's his plan, yep,
That's his plan, no?
yeah. But it doesn't show that little addition, I
But
don't,
it shows where the fence is.
yeah, it shows the fence.
The fence he found, it's all
I
wrong.
want to see the
Yeah.
application.
Then
I want
who
to see the
issued
signed
permit?
approvals
Yeah.
from the building.
Building.
Yeah.
The building department there, and
The building department issued a
Yes,
permit to put the building up and no
I
one
wanna
questioned
see
its
I want to see
location.
that too.
okay, we're gonna, this is gonna be on hold as we straighten
Yeah.
out the confusion.
Can I clarify as far as my understanding?
Yep.
That building, the building that we actually put up, was not part of the plan. You know, that wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Was that on the building, was that on your building drawings?
No,
For-
that was not.
So you put this up without a permit?
Essentially, thinking that it would be okay to do so because we had the permit.
Yeah.
And the way it was explained to us is, you know, if you actually do something within the premises, you okay. So
Oh, okay.
we are
So they don't even
actually,
have.
So they don't even have a
But
permit
they'll
to
be
do
able to
that.
backtrack this and get the permitting and so forth and so on.
That's,
Then it's up to
that's,
the
probably
but
be down-
that's not the
Have a
point.
site visit with the building inspector present and to get his views on it, and also we'll have to go upstairs within the agencies of the town and get
so
them straightened out.
Bob, the commissioner, the building commissioner passed by there today as well. So he said, as far as the structure of the building, he says, I don't have an issue. It's more around like the distance to the.
Yes,
25 feet?
Yeah.
25 feet, are you kidding me?
So that's,
This one, no, 25 feet, that's the old kitchen building.
Well,
The other one, I measured
Well,
after. That's
It'll
very
take a
huge.
while to get all our information together and work on it, but
oh yeah. they're gonna
don't
need that.
stress yourself. We probably will be able to find a way to work with it.
I don't know.
We'll just have to see.
I mean, clearly, I mean,
Yes, you-
clearly, we want to comply, you know.
Yes,
mean,
I understand.
We want to comply.
And you were
So
in-
had we known, I mean. we
It's
would
not your
have
fault that no one told you that
Oh,
this
Well,
was needed, so.
It's in the
I'm-
bylaws.
I'm-
It's-
I know,
I'm
but
sorry, you know, no,
It's
Jim.
The 100 feet of coming to us is state law.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not,
I
it's not
agree with
Carver
you.
law.
I agree.
I agree with you.
And the fact that you cannot build a structure within 65 feet of water is a Carver bylaw.
That's
They're
correct.
printed, they're
You're absolutely right,
available.
Steve.
Okay.
But they
It's-
did not, they were not told to come to the Concom.
Yes,
Well,
but
That's
doesn't,
the problem.
But you
but
have
it
to
doesn't
understand,
negate that they still are in
It doesn't-
peril of
The
making that
Carver
building come
bylaws
down.
tell them to come to Concom.
That's correct.
not only that,
Unless
but
somebody tells them that that applies.
people,
I'm sorry.
ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Well, we'll,
We'll work on it.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
try to work this out, but I do,
I'm
and
annoyed, but
I think
I
that,
really,
So, the way I see it, then everybody else can just say, I didn't know either.
no,
So
and that's,
they-
and-
You know,
That's what we're getting.
right.
what we
They
have to
will
do
need
then
to
is, we have to make sure that the town offices that deal with plans, permits, and stuff are more effectively informed as to who has to be told.
But they didn't even get a permit to do it to begin with, so the town officers have nothing to do with this.
But they have brought in plans, and the building inspector has been down there, and he doesn't seem to understand that we didn't know anything about it. See, this is the whole thing. There was a whole bunch of missed,
But the building inspector, there was no permit issued to do that. There was no
Yes, Tim.
permit
I
issued.
hear that, Tim. We're gonna have
Okay,
to go back
okay, all
and
right.
figure out how we can remedy this.
Well, I also understand, Mr. Chairman, exactly where Savory's coming from, because, and I understand what you're saying. So I'm looking at both sides of this, but the fact is the building is up. So I don't want that to become the precedent that we start building buildings 10 feet from the water and then say, oh geez, I didn't know and I don't want to take my building down. So, you know, you need to understand that there is a possibility that this could be denied and you may have to move that addition because it's within 65 feet of the water.
It's only 25 feet
Well,
from the water.
It's within 65 feet requiring a variance, and because the building's already built without us intervening ahead of time,
And no
it
permit.
almost becomes a strong arm for us to have to give you the variance because the building's already there. So we don't want that to become the precedent. Is that where you're heading with that?
That's where I'm heading.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
Well, no,
It's-
but there's no permit that was issued to build it to begin
I
with.
understand that.
They should have gone to the building department before they even built that addition, and they would have been
You guys
notified.
are missing the point that nobody in town hall told them that they had to do this.
Had to get a permit to build a building?
I can go right on here right now and show you the bylaw. That's telling you.
But
That's telling you.
anybody knows.
You know that you have to
Jim,
come and check this.
Jim,
They
Jim.
don't know that.
Jim, anybody knows you have to have a building permit to put on a building? No. Come on.
But you do know that this board
This is a
has in the
commercial
past.
establishment.
Right,
You gotta
this
know
board
that.
will bend over backwards to do the best we can to help you,
We
but, and I have to
We'll have
leave
to
the
deal
big
with the
but,
reality.
we'll have to deal with it, and it's gonna be, really, it's gonna be up to the board. There's other issues going on elsewhere in town. This becomes a huge can of worms. Again, this is putting the cart way out in front of the horse.
As the other members
So-
have said, if it sets up a pattern, other people will think that, oh, I can do whatever I
This
want,
is
and I'll
the way
just
to
say,
get
well, I
around
was
it. That's
ignorant
right.
of it.
It-
After a while, ignorance is not an excuse.
And I totally understand.
So-
I mean,
But I don't want you to,
If I may,
yes, go ahead.
it sounds like we need to collectively huddle up with a couple other departments to get to the bottom
Yes.
of this, part and parcel from you before getting back to you on any decision till all the facts are in place. So any other discussion at this point, I think, is moot.
Well, I would like
Do
to,
you-
even though I know we can't vote because this is unanticipated, although maybe we can under unanticipated, but I would like to see just a cover letter go out from the Conservation Commission requesting that they do not move into this building, that they do not
Well, they don't have a
go any...
certificate of occupancy, I'm sure. They didn't
It's a
apply for
storage building,
permit.
It's just a
so
storage building.
I just don't want to see the building become utilized until this is settled.
Well, I'm sure the building department didn't issue a certificate of occupancy
If
on
it's a
that
storage
section
building-
because they didn't pull the permit to begin with.
If it's a storage building,
Still need a certificate of occupancy.
Daniel Boone never got certificates of
We're
occupancy
not
for his
talking about
cabins.
Daniel Boone, Jim.
No, people who are not familiar with the
didn't live in
regulations
Carver.
didn't know. They didn't live in Carver, they didn't deal with that sort of thing before. And it's unfortunate. There are a lot
Just
of
don't wanna
people,
open a
they send their
bigger
kids
can
to
of
school
worms.
without realizing they have to be vaccinated. They,
And what happens? Do they get to stay in school?
No. They send to the
There
doctor.
is a building thing, I think, that says if it's less than 200 square feet.
700,
Is it 7 or 2? Debbie told me
It's a lot
200.
bigger. Yeah.
700.
Oh, okay. How big is that?
700 bigger needs a
Anyway.
variance.
Let's table this for the moment.
Okay.
And we're gonna have to really investigate deeply as to just how this
Okay.
fiasco took place.
Okay.
I still would like a
But
letter to
I-
go out asking them to do no more on this project until a determination is made by this board.
I agree.
Well, that's true. We should, okay.
And we need
Yeah.
to let them know that when if they're going to do anything else, they are going to have to follow notice of intent, because it's.
That could be in that letter,
Yeah.
but
To be clear, this is not a prefabricated shed. There was a pour done,
did
and
you, yeah, this is stick-built?
It's attached to the building.
Yeah, we put in there a 4-inch concrete and
Jeez.
It's on
Yeah.
slab, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So we got multiple big
Right,
problems here,
right.
so.
And while we're on that same subject, I think, I agree with Alan, I think a letter should be written. There is also adjacent to that building where there used to be a gravel patio. They have now put down impervious pavers, which are also within the 100 feet. Okay. So the gentleman was there today cutting them, fitting in the ankle pieces to fill out. I know that you're planning on opening soon, is that correct?
I mean, it was crushed stone in that whole entire area.
But crushed stone allows water to go through. The pavers are a little bit less forgiving. and getting the.
Well, we don't allow it. Period.
Yeah,
Pour
so,
concrete. Well, I would like to see this get on the agenda for the next conservation meeting and have this be, everything be pulled together between now and then, because they are trying to open.
Right?
right, now,
That's
Brooke, can you let them know what they need to do for an NOI, getting the
Yep.
drawings done and,
Yep.
and a plan?
And I actually talked to Aman before the
Yes,
meeting,
yes.
and he knows how to file a notice of intent, and I said that that was what we were probably going to have you do, and that there was anything in the future that you wanted to do, like fix the deck or, do something farther out into that lawn area. So put everything onto that plan, put everything into
Yes.
one notice of intent, and then you can get an order for all the stuff. And then you have 3 years to do it, but at least
Yeah.
it would cover, all the activities near the pond that you want to do.
The big
'Cause it
thing
looked
is
like
to
you might
come
have-
to the
They knew
agent,
better. It's a commercial
because
building.
all of that property is so close to the wetlands
Bullshit.
that we have to treat it with kid gloves. And there's just, to the side of it, along the shoreline, there's a ditch, basically, that people just see as a ditch that water's flowing through, but that's vital to cranberry growers downstream of it, because they draw that for water. And the big pond, Sampson's Pond, is a supply of water for the cranberry industry.
And I think what you could do, the plan that I got from Schneider, that's recent. He could get you a plan that you could submit with your notice of intent, that would show the buffer zones, that would show, and he knows all about this stuff, Armand knows about this stuff. And that way we'd know what's being done in the 65, what's being done in the 100, and then you could use that as your plan to submit with your notice of intent.
I mean, I can tell you that we have no future plans to add anything else,
Yeah.
because we love the way it is.
Yeah.
We just figured with the gravel existed, the fence and the trees were there,
Yeah.
so, it was kind of one of those things that we say, okay, this is in close proximity of the
Right.
water, but there were already things there that, we just
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
You bought this from Dan, right?
No, Vicente de Russo was the owner who actually bought
Okay.
it from them.
Okay. Well, he-
Can items in an NOI, can things be itemized in an NOI?
Yeah.
And voted on individually?
Yep, yep,
Then that's what I'd like to have.
okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so I can talk to Armand about the notice of intent and, tell him what we need and
Well,
stuff. And I
it's
think
not a
he'll, like I said, he's
formal
filed them
order of
before.
business yet until we bring
Yeah.
it in, so
Yeah.
I don't think we need them.
Because it's confusing when you look at it, for you to look at it. It's not as bad as it sounds, but he's familiar with how to do it, so he'd be good
But
to
if
get
it
it.
comes under unanticipated,
Yeah, we
I
don't
think
wanna
it
set a
can be
precedent
acted
for
on
this.
by the board. And maybe a motion would just be good for the record.
What do you think?
I agree. I think
Okay.
that the unanticipated portion of our agenda allows us to vote on this.
Okay.
So,
So-
because it's unanticipated, I would make the motion that we send a letter out advising them to do no more work on this until this is straightened out with the Conservation Commission.
And everything is made solid.
And then you can advise them on an NOI, and the NOI shall be itemized.
Yeah,
Yep.
That work? And that this should be marked up for the next conservation hearing, which should be
the 19th.
June. Works for me.
I would also add to that, in the letter, that we will need to have a site visit with the building inspector
Good, good.
between now and then.
Right.
So moved, isn't it?
He's aware of what's done. We
Yeah.
can tell him about what it was like before, because he probably has no idea what it was like before. He never looked at it.
Right.
You want a second,
So I will
Alexis?
second that.
Okay.
So you've
So
got
we have a
that.
motion on the floor.
You made a motion
To-
Yep.
because with the inspector.
We have a motion on the floor to require an NOI be prepared for this project, and that before it is accepted, that no further work be done
On this
on
addition.
the
Yep.
site.
No work
That's
until-
about right,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah.
Is that clear enough, you think?
Yes, no further work
Further work.
and no utilization of the,
Right, that's in there, so. Until this gets straightened out on the next meeting, which is the 19th or whatever date it is.
Okay, so,
Well, can I ask another question?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask another question?
Surely.
I'd like to put these letters into the building
That's,
The stone ways.
That's not us.
Cranbrook, that's it.
yes,
Yeah.
those are not
That's
our
not
affair.
us.
That's the
Sign.
building inspector or
That's
planning
planning
board.
board.
Planning board.
That's sign.
The
Is
sign,
the planning board?
Planning
yeah,
board.
because it's a sign.
Yeah, I suppose it's considered a sign if it's going to be on the building.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but again, that's their bailiwick and not ours.
Now, if you wanted them mounted on pylons in the middle of the pond, then that would be us.
That's
But
right.
otherwise,
Well,
that's
we'd be
on the
dealing
building.
with the
It's-
pylons, but planning would have to still deal with the sign.
Right, right.
Are you going to cater to people that want to fly in for dinner and land?
Yeah, yeah.
You can see it from up above.
I'm just worried about like the motion not to use it, the storage, because we just put some lines for the machine for sorting has some there today.
Well, we're gonna have to wait for.
Can't do it.
Meeting 2
Yeah.
weeks from tonight,
Yeah.
so that's what the letter's
Yeah,
gonna say.
we're trying to move as fast as we can.
Yeah. That's right.
I just want to say, to be clear, I don't think our intent is to give you a slap on the wrist here. We're just trying to, close the loop of communication with us, with other departments that you've been dealing with to get to the bottom of
Yeah.
what transpired, and then come up with a solution that both helps you, but also stays within our purview of making sure that the wetlands in those areas are protected. That's our job.
And
So-
for the record, we did not go through that process. It is what it is.
Sure.
We didn't.
We understand that. But we have the responsibility to the town to make sure that as much as possible, the regulations are there. So what we have to do is figure out a way to bring you into, to fit with those. And this is what we'll be doing with the application and the discussion and so on, and the visit with the building inspector, all these things. Okay. So that motion was made to, did we get a second on that?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to request a NOI for the project at the Cranebrook Restaurant. And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's passed unanimous. Okay. So,
Thanks.
And I'll let you,
Thank you.
you deal with this.
and thanks for coming forward with it and making
Write a
sure.
letter and just tell them what it's.
Yeah, we gotta get a letter tomorrow.
Okay.
Some people would wait another 2 years, and by the time they're serving up dinner, they'd say, oh, what do you mean we need this then?
There's gonna be a letter soon.
Good evening.
Good.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Who's next? Okay.
Next victim.
Well, that was just it. Well, we have other appointments and discussions. Discussion of the Cole property.
Can we take care of the,
Yeah, I was-
with all due respect,
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could we take care of the business and then we can go to the discussions of the coal properties within us, I think, and the MAC training is within us?
Okay.
Well, I
Might as
think-
well, because there's people here for the
That's what I was just gonna
businesses.
say,
Yeah.
there are people here for that.
I think we also have the fourth bullet
Update.
under discussion,
Yep.
17 Wareham Street.
Take that one now, if you
Okay.
want.
Yeah.
Do that one. then.
Yep, actually,
Okay.
Chris, here, want to come up? This is just a little update that I got from their consultant.
Guys wanna sign in, please?
So I had talked to Mark, and he said that you had moved, some more of the big trees, and that, but now you're still dealing with the zoning issues, right? For your business thing?
Yeah, I went and I put it in, and I haven't heard anything. I emailed Steven, I didn't get an email back.
You know he's gone.
No, I didn't know that.
His last day was last Tuesday.
But don't let that dissuade you, there's.
No,
the-
no, but
the-
there's still-
The
yeah.
office is still open
Yeah.
downstairs.
Yeah, there's still a planning office, but Stephen himself is gone.
Well, I emailed him immediately, right after our last meeting.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he was here. When did he leave?
He left the Friday before Memorial Day.
Yeah, he did.
Right.
Maybe
Well, he
we
was in
should
for a little bit
contact
that
the
Tuesday morning.
ZBA and
Was
see
there a
if they've
reason
been
you left?
informed about the situation.
Job
I
elsewhere.
think this has come before ZBA yet. It's not, in fact, I know it isn't.
Okay.
That's where it's
But you
gonna
did
end
file
up.
for
Takes them a
for a
long time.
ZBA permit,
Great, a
zoning
long time to
permit?
get us
Oh,
access.
yeah.
So what's
Yeah,
going
well,
on
yeah, I did
with
that
the-
all
Yeah, I
that.
thought you had a while ago.
This property,
Yeah.
isn't there a new bylaw about the cutting of trees? and
There's
so
the bylaw about the business thing, the wood
The
processing,
new bylaw
right?
is just as prohibitive as, from what I've talked with Stephen, that there is no relief coming out of the planning department.
Okay.
there would be something maybe before zoning, but the problem with zoning is zoning cannot grant a use variance. It's in the bylaw that this not be what's used on that land. Then number two is the problem, is we have the 65, 100, and the 200-foot riverfront setback.
Right.
So, and then I got a copy of the email. Did you send it to me?
From the consultant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you had said, I think Ashley, is it? You had said that we're back to personal wood use for our fireplace kind of a thing, and, this is turning into a gigantic issue.
The guy, there's a neighbor that keeps
Yeah,
calling.
there's a neighbor with a big
Yes,
problem, but
yes.
he never shows up, so you gotta discount the neighbor, because if the neighbor were that hot to trot, he'd be sitting in this audience.
No,
With all due respect.
I'm sorry, he's been coming in, talking to the building inspector at least every third day.
Because we're not there, he won't do it in front of us.
I don't think that's the case.
Well, I'm not defending Ashley, but prior to a previous meeting, a butter grabbed me downstairs in the hallway.
Yes.
And gave me an earful that I actually made some accusations that night. But in their defense, I asked him, where are the pictures? Well, they work until 8 o'clock at night, they got light towers, okay, and you got a big picture window, where are the pictures? Well, I don't have any. Well, they just brought another trailer load of stuff in, okay, where are the pictures? I don't have any. And then that night, he didn't come to the hearing, so in this day and age, it's not hard to get
Take
documentation.
it right off your phone.
And I'm not saying that he's wrong, but I'm not saying you are either, because I don't live in his house and I don't park out in front of yours.
But the
So-
other thing too is he did this to the previous homeowner, so it's not like, we moved in and then, we're doing this stuff and he doesn't like it and we're, whatever. He has been doing this to this family, to whoever lives in this house for years.
Okay.
So I don't think it has anything to do with us, I don't think, he thinks he's been there for 40 years, so he doesn't like change. Well, he should have bought
So
the
you're the
property.
McCoys and he's the Hatfield, so.
Now, during our walkthrough on the
Let's hope it
property
doesn't
down
end up
there,
that way.
we told you that there need to be trees planted along the dike there and replaced. Have you done any of that?
We thought that was a suggestion, we didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
that is a demand.
Okay.
I get started.
I was not
I
under
don't-
the impression, we had only talked about that, we
Yeah.
did not say,
I think everything was on hold until
It was,
everything was
it
settled.
was, it was.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
we had
You're
talked
right.
about
And I think-
screening.
Not that would start to keep the neighbor off your back, because if that helps to screen your activity, he will have less to complain about.
I know that was discussed.
So
and
we had discussed screening as far
I
as
think you suggested a whole
bushes,
line of trees.
whatever.
Yes, I did. Matter of fact, 2 of them.
It's just,
It's just.
I would love to do that, but financially,
Yeah, I
this has
understand.
cost us a ton of money. I can't spend $1,000 on a shrub because a neighbor doesn't like the fact that he doesn't like his view from his couch
But the
anymore.
whole
It's
problem-
just not,
I could transplant out of the woods though.
You can, yes, you can plant red maples in there, and they cost almost nothing. That you may.
Go
be
grab
on
them out of the
certain
bogs.
Should I plant evergreens,
Yeah, but
something
it's-
that won't lose its foliage in the winter?
Right.
Well, it's possible, it's
He
possible.
might complain
right now-
about he might,
I can't see his house, it's a huge screen. And the timeline of when these complaints started was around December, which suggests to me he started complaining when the foliage was gone. And I don't know what he's been doing lately, I don't know if he still complains now that the leaves are back.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that we were gonna back off the whole thing a little bit.
We were.
Because it was a planning board issue, and then it was a zoning issue, and we didn't
And
even,
nothing's
if
been
all of
resolved.
this jumping through all of these hoops and making these people do all of this, ultimately ends up in you can't operate this business in that location come hell or high water, then all of this is for naught.
You-
So there's no
Tom,
point in
yeah.
filing an NOI if he.
Okay.
I wouldn't have them file an
No.
NOI yet until I even know if they can operate the business in that
And that's what we
location.
kind of
Okay.
left it
so
as.
what's the
But
latest
they're
on that?
continuing to operate their business,
What's the latest on that, Al?
even
You
though
know?
we said nothing could be done, but they're continuing to bring in trees and more.
Well,
so on.
I don't, are you bringing
No?
trees in?
I drove by there,
No.
I saw that someone
Mark said he
it.
moved some of the,
Moved them.
that he moved some of the
They
bigger
moved
ones.
them, but I didn't see anything new there. I
I've been
drove-
taking stuff
drove by
out.
on my way to work.
Well, the last time you and I were down there, there were still the big tree trunks.
Right, and those are the ones that Mark told me that
Yeah.
he's moved some of those.
And you have some of those.
I've moved them, I've neatened it up. It was a mess because I was told not to do anything. So I neatened it and I've actually have removed quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot gone. And I've been thinking about it. I have someone who I brought my firewood to in the past, who I filled up, who owes me a lot of money for firewood. I'm gonna just get firewood from them. I'm not gonna even process my own wood. There's no sense in it. There's no sense in me spending the time or paying one of my guys to go down there, even for the wood for my own house.
That's fine. Have you, you've not satisfied the decision as to whether that's going to be, continue to be considered agricultural land, or is it going to be non-agricultural land? In other words, it's, as far as I know now, it's still in what's called 61A, which means you get very severe tax benefits, and that if you don't do the agricultural practices that are to keep that in 61A, you're going to have to pay a lot more taxes on that land.
Where the wood is, probably, I'm assuming, wouldn't be considered agriculture. The bog is dead. But the other bogs,
The other bogs are fine, that's right.
Right.
They're gonna
But
tax
this
on
one,
that section.
yeah,
that
the-
section might come out of 61A,
So,
I'm guessing, I'm not
I
sure.
called the tax assessor to figure this out, so they're aware of it, I spoke to them, and I'm waiting on a phone call back
okay.
that she was gonna look into it. And then we were gonna set up, I believe, a site meeting. So I have not heard from her, this was, a week ago I called,
Well,
to
we'll-
try to figure everything out.
Okay.
But I told her she needs to call me back so we can figure everything out and then do a site visit together.
We will
Not
ask them
come
to
my
s-
property and, you know, do it on your own, I don't appreciate that. So I would like to be there and present so I know what's going on and who's there.
Okay.
You know, that would just be.
That's a fair
Well,
request.
obviously, it's not gonna be a bog again, but, you know, being in 61A, you can always come up with another crop.
Right,
Just sort of in the back of your head,
right.
you know? Cukes,
But we're overlooking the still, the 100-foot setback, the
I understand.
200-foot setback. The 200-foot takes the bog out of the picture altogether for anything other than a cranberry bog,
well,
or anything other than agricultural.
agricultural, so, I mean, that's what I'm getting at.
So then they're up against the bylaw that may not allow wood processing.
and grow something.
So we're
So
kind of,
it is a mess. I mean,
kind of
there's no
still where
doubt
we
about
were
it.
the last time.
Yeah, that was basically the update.
Does that count?
Get a stock of
We're
corn.
not trying to put you out of business, we're really not, but our hands are tied. If
By
we
the
were to grant you, if we were to grant you a 65-foot variance tonight and say, okay, fine, anything over 65 feet, have at it and have a blast. It doesn't negate, we have not got the authority to tell you to go ahead and run a wood processing operation against the town bylaws. That's out of the planning department.
Right.
And if it's against the bylaws of the town, even the zoning board of appeals cannot grant a use variance.
Right, and it's even there, it's a gray area, because Stephen had told me there's no wood processing.
Right.
But it's basically just wood storage, there's no processing of any kind. It comes in, it gets left there, I get an order for a load of wood, I go back in and put it back in the truck, and then it leaves.
Right. I know.
Without
There's no
being cut.
Yeah, there's no
There's
tran-
no
yeah.
cutting,
There's
there's
no
no
tra-
chipping, nothing.
There's no transformation of
So that
wood.
does become a gray area with,
Yeah.
and the planning board has to make that decision?
Right.
It's a huge gray
And
area.
the planning board says no, they could seek a relief from the ZBA, but that would be by definition, not by use.
Right.
We're gonna,
Right, so, I mean, there's really nothing that
No.
we can do at this
Right,
point.
right.
Only thing we could do is order them to get the wood out of that area, but I would leave it right where it is.
I
Why
would-
have them jump through hoops at this point?
Well,
Well,
that's
and
what
he's
I had
been, and he
thought.
has been moving.
And he's been doing
Yeah.
stuff, so, you
I
know,
don't
I mean,
wanna
I
jump
can't
through
see,
hoops for nothing.
Yeah, it's
can't
been
see.
leaving. Quite a bit of it is left.
Yeah, I see that when I head to Lowe's. I always look in.
Yeah, so I would maybe call, you know, and just check on the ZBA thing again.
I think
Call-
Mark did, Mark emailed some.
Oh, okay.
yeah, call Deb Deneen tomorrow.
Okay.
Deb Deneen, she's the person in charge now in the planning department, since we don't have a planning coordinator
Yeah.
director. But Deb runs that office.
Okay.
And, you know, that'll at least get you, you tell her you need to get in front of the planning board, and then I would bring it to the planning board as
Yes.
as a discussion,
Right.
instead of having to go jump through hoops on all kinds of paperwork,
Right.
just to find out whether, you know,
Yeah, get on their agenda.
see
Yeah.
if they can at least do this, and then the
Yeah.
planning board can tell them in an informal discussion whether or not they're even got a shot at this, so that they know
Definitely.
where it's at.
So,
To
now,
go to them.
okay,
Well,
so
that'd be
you
the
are,
way I
understand,
would
you're
do
gonna
it.
go, come in tomorrow, make contact with Deb Deneen, phone or person.
Okay.
And, ask to be put on the agenda for the planning board. To
Okay.
come and talk to them about the thing, and, also, whether it needs to go to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
That's the whole question.
Yep.
Which we don't know if it does, but it might need to.
Yeah, no one, I don't know, really.
I know, no.
I could be wrong, but
Way
the
to go,
next
yeah.
planning board meeting may be the 18th. So if you get a hold of them tomorrow, they can get this on the agenda for a discussion. So at least you can sit down and talk with them at the next meeting. Usually it's the first and third Tuesdays.
Right, so that's the third.
So they had one yesterday,
Yeah.
and they'll have one the 18th. And then we're back on the 19th. So that would just, so you don't wind up still in this quagmire in September, when we're worrying about what to do with snow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, all right.
All right?
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Have a good night.
You too.
It is a
It
nightmare.
is a nightmare. Nobody knows what to do with this thing.
Well, you know, it may in your view be a nightmare, but we told them that after they cut all that screening down between them and the riverbank, that they had to put some trees in to screen it again. And they haven't done squat about
Like you
that.
say, stuff was on hold because they were gonna come back and file a notice of intent if they could do the business.
Right.
Remember, they were
It's
gonna
gonna
try
be the order
to
of-
see what they could
it
do
was
with
gonna
the
be the order
Being
of
played, I
conditions.
think. I think we are being played. And I want to see some,
I think that we agreed that it was gonna be the order of conditions when they came back with the NOI, that they would have to plant trees
Right,
along the.
that was gonna be
along
part of the order,
the-
yeah.
The dike road, because it was no
Right.
longer being.
I think-
But then the issue was, why file a notice of intent if you can't have a business?
But I
Yeah,
think a
let's-
further
let's let 'em-
comment was made that
But
since
it's
they
not
hadn't
like the other
disturbed the
departments,
roots, if they just
then
left that whole area alone, it was gonna grow back
Yeah,
up
but I don't
anyway.
want-
Yes.
You know,
Well,
if you're a
you're
young
gonna
couple,
s-
I don't want them to have to do things twice either, it costs money.
Tim,
What, am I saying something wrong?
no, I just, they're a very maneuvering young couple.
Oh, I get it.
You can't really say that.
That's just my personal opinion.
I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't, so far, my take on that is not so much that they're maneuvering, but navigating. And,
I understand.
Jim, I like navigating better.
Dan, the human thesaurus.
well, it's
God help
it's a
the
different
next guy
thing.
that's before us tonight. Oh, hi, how are you?
Like you said, you never had
You
a
might
problem
wanna
with
wait
words
for a
or
little while.
anything before, so.
Denied.
Till they cool down.
Denied, yeah, that's it, you're done.
This is,
Motion to withdraw that permit.
is this 82 Center Street by any chance?
72.
72.
This is for an amended order of conditions
All right.
for the solar array on the block.
Yeah, you wanna fill in a
Fill in the ditches and.
ditch?
Move the.
So-
Softball ball, softball ball.
May I begin, or are you?
Go right ahead.
Sure, did you sign in?
We did, yes. So, my
Any
name's,
popcorn?
no popcorn.
I vote no.
You may recognize us from maybe 6, 9, 12 months ago when we were last in front of you, but I'm Josh Farkas with Borrego. That's me. You also know my brother probably pretty well, Zach.
Yeah.
A little shorter, not as nice of a haircut as me, but not a bad guy.
Runs in the family.
Exactly. And Dean Smith, Dean's on our civil engineering team. Basically, we're preparing for construction. We have a notice of intent, order of conditions from you all and our planning board permits. There's a couple minor changes that we are anticipating doing once we reach construction that are within the buffer zone. So we just wanted to present them to you to get it cleared up. I'd say Dean will present them to you, but there's 2 items. One of them we might do, and one of them we will do. So we just wanted to basically be ready to do both, should we need to eventually, so.
All right.
Let's see what you got.
All right, so we haven't made any changes to the arrangement of the solar array or any of the equipment that's associated with it. So that's still the same as what was approved by this commission previously. The bog, like a standard cranberry bog, has a ditch that goes around the perimeter of the bog. In discussions with some of our operations and maintenance people, they felt that it might be better to fill that at a 3-to-1 slope so that when equipment comes in to mow, that they can come up the slope and turn around better up and down the rows. So that's the reason for requesting to fill the perimeter ditch.
They want to build a ramp.
The other thing that we
That
need
was our
to-
first guess. Reason.
Yeah.
The second guess was to keep it drier.
Well, it will still have a pipe outlet that flows the same way that it does now from the perimeter ditch.
Excuse me,
Yes.
on the first one, I'm looking for the ramp. Where's the ramp?
No, there isn't there.
There is
There's
just
a
one small
ditch.
cross-section. We did a bigger version of it for you tonight so that you can see.
And where's it going?
It's going around the perimeter where the
It's
ditch
going to
is.
go
Oh, the whole
all
thing?
the way around.
Well, they're gonna fill all the
Yes.
ditches in.
So what we would have is the perimeter road that
Yeah,
circles
yeah.
the bog, and then just
So-
bottom line is what the existing contour looks like, the ditch at the bottom, and we'll fill that at a 3-to-1 slope down to the base.
Excellent.
So it'll go all the way
So
around,
you're gonna
it'll be
like
out
fill
on
the
the
city
outskirts
with
of where the
Service
solar
and
panels
the
are located.
And so just so you have better access, basically.
Yes, provide for access down and as Josh said, that's not a certainty. We hadn't included that before, but our operations and maintenance people think that it would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Anything living in those ditches right now?
No, we had habitat studies done on site. They came back with no habitat for the Plymouth red-bellied turtle. We forwarded that to U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and there were no issues.
Yeah, it
raised.
wasn't mapped.
As well as the northern long-eared bat, we had.
Yeah, I want to buy all
habitat
this
studies
on site when it's done.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you have a biologist on site while you're filling.
Okay. we can-
I want a biologist there.
Why?
I want
He
that.
did not see any of the red-bellied turtle.
Why, 'cause-
Well, any water-bearing
Okay.
creature at all. It doesn't have to be a red-bellied turtle. You know, you never know.
You're gonna make them relocate a salamander?
Don't be a wise ass.
So-
They're not above ground right
So
now.
during the filling you want one on site?
You're gonna start?
Oh, no, is that what you said?
Oh,
No, you said
She's
during the
taking the
filling, you
Yeah,
said,
during the filling.
did you want a biologist on site while
I'm-
they're doing the filling?
While the ditch is being filled, is that when you want the biologist?
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah,
That's-
okay.
I thought you were being funny.
Bring all the frogs
I
to
wouldn't
Tim's
make money.
house.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
Stop it. They have a right to live
If it's a
too.
big frog, you gotta save it. No.
I'll take it.
For the detail of the ditch filling, it shows basically the maximum amount of material that could be in there. It may be a little bit less, it wouldn't be more, but we thought we would show the max fill, and then kind of whatever the right move is for construction and O&M, that's what we would go with, but we're just kind of showing the max fill.
Okay.
Then the other minor item, there's a small pond adjacent here with a pump house.
Yeah.
And there are irrigation lines that pass through the bog where we're gonna be constructing.
You wanna remove the
We're
irrigation?
going to abandon the one that serves the bog that we're building in, but one passes across and provides irrigation for this bog to the east. And there's also a line that comes down the access bog road and serves this down here. So they come across from the pump house, we'll capture them right at the edge of the roadway, and we were going to reroute the one that serves this bog on the inside edge of that bog road.
Before you backfill? Is that what you were thinking?
We
Down
can do
below?
it before we backfill.
Well, what I was thinking, are you gonna,
Irrigation lines?
are you gonna put it inside the ramp area, or are you gonna
No,
put it on the road?
It would be right here at the
Oh.
edge of the bog road. So it wouldn't be affected by that fill operation either way.
Okay.
But whatever the commission's preferences.
Yeah, I don't have a big problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that.
Just that
No, I
black
don't have a
plastic
problem with that.
hose.
Yeah.
The other one
Right,
stuff
it's a
is
regular
down here.
irrigation.
You can see the
Yeah.
W's.
Yeah, I
Goes
can
down
see
here
it
and
goes
into
in.
the south bog.
This one's gonna stay.
No,
You're
this
gonna leave the
is
one
coming
feeding
out.
the other two bogs
gonna
in
go around
place?
Around this way and in.
It would remain in place, yes. We'll just have to locate it prior so that we don't disturb it.
So you're just gonna capture it where it goes underneath that
Right.
field
They
and,
all come
take a
across
left.
together, and then that one turns to the south,
Right.
outside of our work area.
now, is that the one you might do, or is that what you will do?
That is going to be done because it passes through our site right now, and we need to make sure that it's not in service, we don't damage it.
Right.
So,
How deep are they, the water
they're-
pipes?
They're not terribly deep. You can see where they come
couple
out of the
feet.
bog on either side,
Yeah.
so there's not a lot of.
They're about
cover.
3 feet below the road, is
On
that right?
on the bog road itself, where they're gonna detour to, it's down about 2 feet.
Okay.
About 2 feet, 2 feet.
That'd be sufficient.
There was an exposed one at the northeast corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one
Yeah,
poking
they'll
out,
probably
poking
drop
out
it
right
in
there,
there,
yeah.
It's going on the edge of the road,
Yeah.
next to
All
the
right.
So,
yeah.
that's really the extent of what we're asking for
Okay.
this evening.
Biologist,
I'm okay with that.
biologist. Biologist.
We got
Okay.
it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amended orders of conditions based on the new plans we were shown with the inclusion of a biologist on site for the
Fluffy.
the filling process of the ditches.
Cases of Fluffy there, a turtle or frog.
Stop it.
Do we have a second?
They have a
I'll
right to live.
second.
It's okay, Tim.
It's been moved and seconded.
You know how many lovely snappers I pulled out of those?
It's been moved and seconded
Who seconded?
to,
I did.
Oh, you did, okay.
Okay.
I'm doing the minutes, sorry.
to approve the amended orders on this project with the details in our notes.
Biologist.
Yes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
There we go.
Next time, popcorn.
Thank you.
Next time, popcorn. It's real warm out, ice cream.
Frog's legs.
Frog's legs, there you go. Don't tell Tim.
I
Bog,
didn't say it, he did.
bog turtle leg.
They're very tasty, by the way.
I've had them a long, long time ago, when I
we
was a
were
kid.
kids.
Tastes like chicken.
Put them in a fryer.
Everything does.
I don't know when. I'll be damned. I'll tell you that, that's how.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So what was their reason for moving the irrigation? Just 'cause they,
It's going underneath the project. They wanted to go around it. So if there's a problem with it, how are you gonna get to it?
oh, right. I see what you're saying. Okay, right. Because the existing one.
If it ever freezes or
Thank you,
something
Dean.
like that.
Don't forget the hat. All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Well, we lost our audience.
Really?
We still got Franny.
Yeah, they have no choice.
Okay.
Lucky you.
Yeah, but they're paying him to stay here. see?
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's here.
Let's see. So,
All right.
that's the one order of business that we're taking care of. Okay.
Oh,
Well, we
this
have an
one,
amended OOC and,
This was the one at the last meeting, remember, 128?
Yeah,
Meadow?
yeah.
And they didn't have prepared because
Yep.
they hadn't, anyway. they
Jim
didn't-
wasn't here.
So you guys just need to sign that amended. That was for the driveway that was taken outside the
All right,
65.
let's go.
Okay, here we go.
That's the one where they flip the house around
Yes.
the other way?
Yeah, yeah. And you guys approved, boy, just didn't have the order for you to sign.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Shoestring Road.
We got something else going? Oh, we do, another one. Sign another one. Just a
What's
flipping
the
of the house.
26 South
That's the
Main?
one on that corner
Oh,
from
How's that?
Point Road and
By Shitty Acre.
Okay. Wow.
We have a COC too?
Yep, for the high school track.
What's this, 26
That would-
South Main?
Yeah, 26 South Main. Let's finish
26
that.
South Wayne, that's Mr. Murphy's?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I gave you a copy of the order conditions that said what we had,
Number of animals that could be in there.
had him do, for the driveway. So that was that one little section that he wanted to keep as gravel or process.
Turnaround.
Yeah.
Was a little
He
turnaround.
wanted to know if he could put porous pavement. Because the guy who's paving the driveway said it will look more like the rest of the driveway.
Too bad.
No, it is
And it's
porous. It's the
porous.
same end
And it's-
result as gravel.
Our main thing was that it be, you know, that
You
be
wanted a
pervious.
porous surface for
Yeah,
that
you wanted
turnaround.
pervious. So so he just wanted to make sure, because he didn't want to, go ahead and do it.
Impervious.
Yeah, he's doing a beautiful job in the front. I mean, the place looks terrific. He brought in
So it's
loads
just,
and
like I say,
loads
it's
and
that,
loads of loom.
that little
and-
turnaround.
I saw a lot of loads going.
Yeah, he did a nice job
It's all
over there.
graded and
So I
Yeah.
did give you
It's
a
gonna be
copy
a
of what-
beautiful lawn if it grows.
I gave you a copy of what was in the order, so the order said
Knowing
processed,
the money they're putting in,
gravel or
I'm
something
sure they're
like
gonna
that.
have
Yeah.
sprinklers.
so basically the same thing, right?
Yeah, but it's still a permeable surface, so it ends up the
Okay.
same end result, but it blends in with the rest of the driveway.
Okay, I've never seen it, so I didn't know.
It's really
what
hard
like, but
stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, no.
I don't know
And as long
why.
as it's still pervious, that was the whole idea of you having
I
to
know
keep
that my driveway is all the reground asphalt. I
Yeah.
just brought in 2 trailer loads of it, and I'm gonna put it down, put a new coating down, and then I'll roll it out. And even rolled out, it'll look almost solid,
Rock when
but
it's down.
it won't hold water. As soon as it rains, there'll be no water. It'll all soak through, unlike a driveway, which would sit on the top.
Is porous pavement the same thing as reprocessed asphalt?
Yeah, it's reprocessed,
the
and they
same
just
thing.
roll it, so it
Okay.
looks like it's,
Just called a different thing, so he
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure, instead
Yeah,
of,
they pull it right off,
gravel.
probably pulled it right off of 44, right?
Do we need to,
How much loads did you get
approve
off of
this,
that road?
or what?
Well, we had already, yeah, you just need well, yeah,
and it still needs a motion.
Take note of it.
yeah. Yeah, you would have, we don't need to, amend the order or
It's
anything
here
for
for
it.
business.
But I can just tell him, yes, it's okay, he can use that, because he'd want to make sure before he did anything that I talked to everybody about it.
Yeah, I think it,
Okay, then a motion to follow this practice that's described in attachment A.
Yeah.
yep,
So he
I'll
can
make that
do the
motion,
porous
Mr.
pavement.
Chairman.
Okay,
I can define it. A motion to
Approve.
approve the
Installation.
attachment A
Yeah,
for DEP SE 126-571 as written.
or I suppose you,
Well, it says
well, see,
a
it says.
reprocessed gravel
It really
pavement.
kind of already says that,
Yeah, it does.
but he thought,
Yeah.
I think he thought that the porous
Yeah.
pavement was different, so that's
Yeah.
why he asked. So it pretty much.
So as
isn't gonna-
described in
right.
attachment
Okay.
A.
all right, second on that?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the attachment A for DEP SE 126-571.
I do want to add to the discussion though before we vote.
Yeah.
Well, we can vote first, but I do want to add to the discussion.
You can, I might modify the motion.
No, this is related to the property, but not related to the,
Okay.
This is,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So let's have a vote then on this item. Here's one of our part-time employees.
we pack them
See?
in.
We had a crowd.
Pack them in.
We're so popular.
We have an audience of 1, and we pay them to be here, so.
We had a crowd. They heard you were gonna stop in.
Why do you get 2? What a deal.
Come on, sit down, there's plenty of room.
When I was downstairs with the recreation committee that, I haven't showed up for, except for the recreation committee members.
Yeah, gee, that sounds.
Really?
It's an important issue, I guess, going on in town or something.
Yeah, well,
Getting a lot of hits on social media.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody downstairs.
Very active on social media
What?
tonight.
what is,
The lawsuit.
You know,
about the playground?
Yeah,
What lawsuit?
the lawsuit. Well, I'll tell you after.
Yeah, that's an after
We're
thing.
we're in a vote.
Time out, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's move the question. It's been moved and seconded to approve the attachment A to the DEP SE 126-571. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Pass unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, now, Saver has
To go.
another item.
I've noticed that in the last week, as they were getting their front yard ready, and I think it's going to be really nice.
It is.
But what they've done for about 3 feet off the side of the road is they put in granite pavers
And a sidewalk.
along the edge of where their lawn's going to be, and then there's about a 3-foot buffer with gravel.
Yeah. I saw that.
And
I think we allowed that.
Did we? Was
It's
that
stone.
part of the Plan?
I'm more
Yeah.
than positive, that was in that.
Along
Yep.
Route 58?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
stone.
because he was doing that to be, because of, remember the water was getting diverted from, and he knew the town wasn't gonna do anything?
Yep.
So he wanted to,
Yep.
divert the drainage from Route 58.
He put that in
From-
so that would give the water a place to permeate into the ground before it went and wiped
Yeah.
out his brand-new
I'm
lawn.
more than positive, it was on that plan when he came in
remember
for the
that.
notice of intent,
Yeah.
yep.
All right.
Because 58, the way it's set up,
Yeah.
he was getting the runoff
Right.
coming right in his yard.
Right, and he's on a slope
So
down
he gave it,
towards
he
that
gave it
stream.
the whole frontage, and it gave it a permeable
Yeah.
surface,
Okay.
which A, looks real good, and
He
B, it
dug
won't
it
hold a
down.
drop of water. It's gonna sink right into the ground
He
and
did a
then
nice
head
job.
out.
Yeah.
He did a nice job on
Yeah.
that.
He did.
Yeah,
And that's
so-
gonna
and he-
save his lawn, which he's gotta have a ton of
couple
money in
kids
that,
out there, they
in
were
that
hustling.
work.
Yeah, then like I say, he figured the town wouldn't do anything, so he figured, well, I'll do it, and,
I know that feeling.
Now, he's also going to put a pipe under the driveway, right? to
He
go
did.
from- He
Yeah.
did that already.
He
Yeah.
did, that's all done.
Okay. All right.
And
That's
we had,
fine. That's
we had
all I
approved
wanted.
that too, so.
Okay,
Yeah, I knew we approved the
Yep.
pipe. I didn't remember the,
Yep.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
let's
I
see,
remember
we've
that.
covered all the business.
No, there's one on the next page.
Well,
top of
can
the
we go,
next page.
there's still some items on appointments and discussions right
Okay.
there, so let's get back to those.
What did we miss?
we
In
could do-
appointments and discussions, the coal property, best management practices. That
Oh.
was
that's Dan's.
Dan's
Dan's
bailiwick
thing.
here.
Dan's duty.
But
Finally,
I like to think of it as our thing, but that's fine.
yeah, finally you get to talk about it.
Are we there?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so, in utilizing the coal property for recreational uses, myself and with other civic groups that I'm involved with, and reports from other groups that use it, individuals that use it, and in consulting with the environmental police, our police, and Mass Wildlife, and the Audubon Society, it came to my attention that there are some illegal uses of the property that I wanted us to talk about as not as another agency to police people, but maybe to help in educating and encouraging use of the property, but in a way that is a little bit more friendly to the property itself, as it is a resource for us to use, but also a habitat of the flora and fauna of the area. So, sort of a low-hanging fruit item that is an easy one for us to perhaps look at is the tree stands that are used by hunters on the property. Being a hunter myself, I appreciate the use of tree stands and understand why they're handy and so forth. However, leaving them in position throughout the year is not only inappropriate and loses style points in my view, but also is illegal. And I wanted to give the owners an opportunity to take them down on their own, as I didn't want to actually put my hands on someone else's property, that being the tree stands, but there are no less than 8 tree stands on the property. Only one of them does not spike the trees, which is also an illegal practice that kills the trees. In one of the attachments, you'll see some examples of spiking, which is used, as you may or may not know, is used to create a ladder to get up to a stand. There's a picture of one stand where they actually used a ladder system and then strapped onto the tree. That one is fairly friendly. However, when something is left up there, it is it gives the impression that is someone else's property in terms of the location, not just obviously the equipment for hunting, but it is right along and no less than 15 feet from one of the walking trails that are used, by the public, by families and children and so forth. And so I had gone on, connected with some colleagues of mine who are both hunters and outfitters, different parts of the country, and asked them if they've come across some of the same issues, and if there was a hunting tree stand policy that they have in a given preserve wildlife area and so forth. And so there were a few things that came up that they found were effective policies to have in place to share with local sportsmen's clubs and hunters in the area, and certainly something that could be tightened up a little bit from what I drafted. This is supposed to be a working document for us and anybody else that wanted to discuss this. I did put a courtesy call out to the Carver Sportsman's Club, letting them know that this was going to be an agenda item tonight, so
They were all interested.
yeah. So someone who, as someone who is a former and still current outdoor educator, this is something that was both important to me, but also again it's just one piece of something that should be looked at as what we could use as a tool for maybe a template for a best practices policy that we could at least suggest I know a lot of what we end up doing is very reactive because we're having to approve or not approve things that come from zoning boards and so forth, but this is something that I think we can really take ownership of, and I'd encourage folks to just, I know some people have not gotten to look at the document that I drafted, but again, it's one that I started coming up with some what I would perceive as frequently asked questions, both that I would ask if I didn't know anything, and also questions that people, I like feedback from the field, as it were, and these were questions that were asked. And as I was going through, I started answering some of the questions based on answers that I got from environmental police, answers that I knew myself, answers from local hunters from this area and from around, and kind of by default, we have the rough workings of what could be a policy. In short, the tree stand policy, whether we decide that there is a fine to be had or not, the main emphasis I think is on educating hunters and sportsmen in the area, and simply to have some type of time limit for a climbing stand. 72 hours tends to be a good window that I've found from folks I've talked with up in Maine, out in Montana, out in Colorado, and different places that have preserves that where people even have a climbing stand that's not a permanent stand. They may leave it up there and they just come down. They want to come down for lunch, and there happens to be a park ranger comes in there, and there's a weather retardant sticker on there, so people know that, hey, he's aware that he can't leave this up for 48 hours. If we come back by the end of 72 hours and it's still up there, then we have to take it, because this is not just their hunting spot, but it should be available to others. So
The question is, you did speak to the police department,
yes,
right? And they're
environmental police. Yeah.
environmental police. All right. And the issue is, do you know who owns these stands?
The stands themselves, I did a little climbing, and the stands themselves don't have name
Nothing?
tags or anything on them.
So the environmental police will remove them? Is
Yep, they will.
that- Okay. And do you know when they're supposed to do that?
Well, I said I'd like to talk amongst ourselves first to see what we wanted to do, but they had let me know that coordinated, they'll either come directly out with me or us, and give a courtesy call, of course, to our police to let them know we're doing that, and they were going to take them down and basically leave a tag on the tree that says, if you'd like to collect your stand, please call this number.
I think our problem's going to be, this is going to become, in essence, a policy bylaw, and it's not in the bylaws. I don't think anything about hunting is even in the bylaws.
But that's what I was checking, is if the environmental police are taking it down, and they carry arms, the question I have, is there a state law that says anything about tree stands?
Yes.
Okay, this is what I want to hear, is what the state has, state law is.
I'm sorry, what is?
In the thicket here of the frequently asked questions part, there are in Massachusetts specifically, it is illegal to leave a stand in a tree at all. And certainly not,
Do they have an amount of time or anything involved in that?
there was different areas come up with, I keep saying the 72-hour period
Okay.
tends to come up. But other groups that I've talked to, different sportsmen's clubs, their issue is that at the end of hunting season, it just needs to come down. And that I don't have a problem with either, as long as there is some type of, I always like, if we can, I always like to see different groups like this have some type of self-policing going on. It ends up being the most efficient way and cost-effective way, obviously, for the town.
But we have the right to call the environmental police
Absolutely,
in
yep,
to remove stands if we feel that they've been there for an excessive period of time.
yeah, yep.
And because the land,
They really shouldn't be there more than 24 hours,
Right, right,
so,
right. Okay, so.
When I did,
I guess what I'm getting at is, you've been working with the environmental police with this, right?
working with, just fact-finding, yeah.
Fact-finding,
Yeah.
okay. Are
Problem
you
is,
sure-
I don't see a
Are you sure
state
that the
law.
environmental police will come out when you call them?
Marked here.
Yes, they will.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and they were shocked to know that there were that many stands out there,
Yeah.
and, but,
Give them a call.
I'd like,
Come
I'd
down and
like
get 'em.
before, I'd like to see the, I'd like to see the state law.
yeah,
Currently,
I don't
the
have a problem with, I'm sorry, Saber.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with what you're trying to do. I think it's a great idea, but I want to make sure that we don't run afoul of something that we shouldn't run afoul of. It's not listed as, according to Mass
No.
General Law, blah, blah, blah,
No,
where we would have all of our teeth.
right, and to be clear, the suggestions that I laid out are more lax than what the state would require, because I don't want to make people feel like that they're not welcome to go hunt on these properties.
Do we even
I
issue
think we
hunting
should
permits
quote
in
the law.
this town, do you?
Yeah.
You know, I really feel that we should.
I know
quote
we
the
issue
law,
fishing.
But I would also get a hold of the Carver
so.
Sportsman Club, because, you know.
Well, who
they could-
issues hunting permits in Carver? Do you know? Do we?
I think the town orders it.
No, it's a
wait
state,
minute.
no, it's a state. It's a state.
State issues the
State.
hunting
Yeah, the
permit.
state.
So I'm not a hunter, so.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm getting at is we get a hold of the Carver Sportsman Center
Yeah.
and let them know what's happening. I wonder if those tree stands would, say in 2 weeks, say to them in 2 weeks, the environmental police are coming to take them down.
Oh, you mean
If
contact
you
the
have one
sportsman?
out there, maybe you ought to go out and get it.
So my first phone call was to the Sportsman's Club to let them know, because I don't like the if I was not being policed, and we have a family farm in Connecticut, and there are some permanent stands that we have on that farm,
Well, it's yours.
but it's our private property.
There's a difference.
Right. I would, if anything changed, I would want to be giving a heads up so that I could just at least go collect my
Right,
stand,
that's
because
what
they're
I-
not, they're not cheap.
And
So-
they probably would want to.
Yeah,
if they-
I would expect that we would,
Yeah.
How,
advertise it, post it on the
I
town
don't want,
website,
I don't want the Carver Sportsman's Club.
let the Carver Sportsman's
being
Club
ticked-
know,
ticked at
let
us.
well, let me,
back arms know.
I mean,
That would be a
Up the
good
street
thing.
from the Cole property.
to me, this is almost a peripheral issue in that, and I'll explain why I got a little heated under my fanny with all this, and that is when taking youth groups out into the woods, seeing trees rotted out and fallen down from these trees being spiked. That's the biggest thing that
Yeah,
I'd like
spiking
to.
trees.
Yeah,
is
I
not
get all
good.
that.
If not anything, if we could,
Yeah, spike,
and update the kiosk out front, at the trailhead and things like that. There's some groups, I know the Boy Scouts wanted to
Pull the spikes and.
participate, not pull the spikes,
I'd like
but
to see a
participate in getting updated information at the kiosk, and
I'd like to see a Conservation Commission letter go out to Sportsman's Club, go out to the local gun clubs.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to deliver one to Wakinko. I'm a member of Wakinko.
yeah, now, in other areas that issue licenses, like Dick's over in Plymouth, they said they'd be happy to post something.
Oh, good.
So,
Yeah, I get my license, my fishing license from
Yeah.
Dick's, yeah.
yeah, so,
I boycott Dick, so.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your research.
now,
So are you gonna do a letter, or?
wait.
Uh-oh.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know where writing a letter
He
yet.
sits back and
so-
listens
We're
there.
gonna hear from the VC, hold on.
I spent a career listening and then talking. So I find it the best way.
Yeah.
I love the idea, but here's where I have an issue with it. There are two things. Number one, if we're doing something that is, if we're doing something that is less strict than the state, then the state still has jurisdiction.
That's right.
Right,
We either mimic the state or make it tougher.
right.
Right. The second thing is, once we issue a permit to someone to put a stand in there, we as a town assume the liability of someone getting hurt on it. If a child climbs it up and falls. And
But we don't issue.
I'm missing your point. I mean, we're
Well, we
taking
don't
them
issue
down, not
permits,
putting them
though.
up.
no,
No.
but we're permitting.
We're allowing them to be put up.
We are now saying for
Yeah.
$20, you will.
Oh, no, we're not gonna do that.
That's what it says here.
No, this is a working document,
Right.
so, no. Yeah.
There's something called, in law, there's something called an attractive nuisance, which in effect is a swimming pool without a fence.
Yeah,
You know, and that, it's based on something that would entice a child to try.
Yeah.
And the person who owns that, or the person
Yeah.
who condones that, is liable for damages. Now, these things, to me, I think if the state already has a state law, then,
Follow the state
then
law.
perhaps what we can do is be more vigilant in notifying the state to do what they're charged to do.
Well, we could
Environmental
require that the owner's name and contact information be listed on the stand. If we want to get around the permit requirement, we can sit back and not do a permit or call it a free permit or whatever.
No permit,
Well,
no
But
permit, no
I
responsibility.
see
You know,
that.
identify the stand, that's what I'm saying.
Gives every chance.
I understand that that's
I
less,
wouldn't get involved.
but once you ask someone to identify the stand, you are in effect condoning that they can put it there.
I wouldn't do that. I'm with you. I would,
I think it's a
would
great idea.
have
I
the
think the
sta- I'd have the
purpose
state
behind it is
remove it,
wonderful.
yes.
The spiking, getting rid of that, and
oh, yeah.
I worry about, and, I think we're lucky that nothing's happened yet.
Well, I think you're asking a lot for the environmental police to show up
That's their
there
job.
every day to determine whether a
No, they don't-
stand got put up or
Well,
not.
No, they,
I'm not saying that they have to be there every day, but I'm saying that if the Boy Scouts are out there and they see one,
call environmental police.
if it's against the law to have one, call. I just think that, I think it's something that, before we were to act on this, that we should run by town council
Sure.
and see what
Would
they
agree
say.
with that.
To be
I wouldn't
clear.
get involved in it one iota.
Well,
I mean, I really wouldn't. What
I think
would
the
do-
education about
what-
the spikes is good.
I understand that, and I agree with the spikes, but say something, do something. In other words, if I see it, I'll call the environmental police.
Right.
And we're all on Conservation Commission, we go through that place quite often. You yourself saw a ton of them. So we call the environmental police, which he is gonna do, and they're gonna get removed. Boom.
Okay, Dan, before Tim spoke, you had some,
No,
I'm sorry. did I
typically
interrupt?
when I think I was sort of half teasing myself in the beginning of the meeting earlier, where I said I don't suffer from writer's block. What I like to have is answers to potential questions, and so a lot of to your point, my end goal, I could care less about finding people or what. Just my main goal is to educate them,
Right.
and whether it be having just be more aggressive with having documentation at trailheads and maybe some more kiosks at junctions where I know that, where the ATVs kind of skirt around areas or where hunters go a little bit beyond, where they could say, oh, I didn't enter here, I came over through this way, and even though that way is illegal to enter coal property anyway, we have more signage I guess,
Right.
out there to.
I agree, and I think that an educational pamphlet on what is and is not allowed based on state law, I would go to the Carver Sportsman's Club, I'd go to Dick's, I'd go to Wakinko, certainly get the word out there, but I think once we start asking people to put their names on something, then we are saying, okay, we're gonna let you do that, because now that you get to put your name on it, we know
You're
that it's
responsible.
there. So I'm not saying that we should say no to that, I'm saying that we should run it by town council with those questions in mind.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Once you own it, you're gonna own it forever.
No, not necessarily.
It's,
some ways I found, this is more up north, I don't know what most groups do in Massachusetts, but a lot of trailheads up north will have at a kiosk, have a sign in, as not just for the purpose of monitoring them, but also for a safety standpoint, like they checked in and they checked out. So we know.
yeah, yeah.
And having, what brought you here today? Hunting, just walking, whatever. For one, it helps us monitor usage.
Yeah.
Okay? The second part is, even though we're not policing them, it lets people understand that signing in lets people know that, maybe I need to mind my P's and Q's while I'm here, and while I'm signing this in, I'm looking right in front of my face. There's in Blaze Orange, there's this signage that has, no spiking allowed,
Right.
and
Exactly.
and some type of, this is, Massachusetts state law is, A, B, and C. Something to that effect that's an in their face thing that makes people maybe think otherwise. Now
That's
this
fine,
is,
that's perfect.
it's one of those things that, like, people are going to do what they're going to do. I get that. I'm not naive to that, but I just would like to see there besides all the legal stuff, there's some what I call style points issues that I have with some of these stands set up using trails as their shooting lanes, and just the way the stands themselves are oriented.
They just look right down the trail.
Yeah, and some of the trails, as you may have guessed, there's a bit of a rise. So they're shooting in the direction of a rise, which anybody who's taken a basic hunter safety course is a big no-no. And so,
Well, I think the education part is great, and I think anything we can do in order to do that, both on, hunter safety and also obeying the state law regarding the tree stands is wonderful. I just think that, getting us to in any way condone it, it could open us up to some liability should something happen.
sure.
So, just think that we should go through council.
One thing I might suggest, and it's sort of a working smarter, not harder approach, is perhaps this educational pamphlet. I've been asked to advise on a couple potential Eagle projects for local scouts. This is a perfect,
Yeah?
Yeah, we just
So
had
have the
someone.
scouts do the pamphlet? You mean
have someone going through
Develop it,
Eagle
yeah.
help work with
Yeah.
the state and
Develop a pamphlet.
develop a pamphlet and maybe
definitely.
beautify that
That'd be a great
kiosk. and
idea for
Just
an Eagle
just thinking out loud now, that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to get out of this agenda item, yeah.
And we do need to update that kiosk out in the front. I mean, it's
Right.
stuff in there that I don't know what it is, but,
Put up a couple more of the illegal entries,
yeah.
where they've cut through the fence,
Yeah.
the ATVs.
Yeah, yeah.
Out by the
Let's
solar.
let's
Right.
spike
We
the
need a
path.
pop-up kiosk as they go through
Drop a
the,
couple,
broken
put a
fence.
rods in the ground. We'll see.
Anyway, just to tie a bow on all this, there's some other items that, down the road that I'd encourage us to look at.
I'm gonna look through this.
Whether it be, I'll talk more at length, or if people have questions aside from this meeting on leave no trace practices, something I've been an educator for a long time, and also looking at our waterways in town. I know I've asked, what the
Boats and.
boats in terms of what's motorized, non-motorized, and so forth, fuel uses and things like that in our town. That's something that I think should be perhaps looked at a little bit more intently down the road.
They have a limit on motors on your, no, they should.
Yeah. Yeah, and,
Even
You
Long,
mean horsepower?
yeah.
yeah.
Long Pond has 40 horse on Long Pond, and that's used.
No, there isn't anything. I know that there are boats out there that with 120s.
Oh, yeah,
90s.
well, look at the guy,
They're water skiing boats.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Anyway,
we're going
thank
to
you
leave
for your
this,
time.
Dan, you're going to work up as best possible, work up a sort of a pamphlet, and maybe with the scouts could maybe have input in, but also they could be the ones responsible for possibly passing it out to the
Yeah.
public. Does
Great
everybody-
idea,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
I was asked to advise on it maybe a month or two ago, and I saw this as an opportunity to maybe, bring them, I like to try to bring these different groups and get them more involved with, different
Okay.
departments, and ours made a lot of sense. So,
All right.
thank you.
Good,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Dan.
Discussion of the MAC training.
That was
Second
favorite.
item in importance and discussions.
Yeah, on,
Terribly important.
about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, I went to a training course down at the Mass Maritime in Buzzards Bay for writing the best practices for writing orders of conditions and also bylaws. It was very, very educational. Yeah, I learned an awful lot about writing
Those are
orders of
fundamentals.
conditions.
Yeah.
So, if you need someone to pinch hit someday,
We're the-
Pass?
Come on in.
What was your test score?
Did you
There-
get anything to
there
pay,
was
that they,
I
did
do,
you
I
give
have
you
a whole
stuff?
pamphlet.
Oh, all right, okay.
I should have brought it in. I
All right.
read the agenda.
They- And I think they're gonna have more courses like that.
Please share
I gave
that.
you a
That's,
list of some of the stuff,
That's,
but
that's one of Mac's fundamentals.
it is.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
fundamental. Very good.
Yeah,
So,
please share that with us next meeting.
Yeah, I'll bring it with me.
Okay.
But
This Brooke needs all the help she can get.
about the bylaws.
Yeah.
It was suggested, the woman who, what was her name? She knows you, from the old Kingston conservation agent.
Oh, Maureen.
Maureen, right. She was the one who ran it. I didn't mean old, I meant former.
She's not that old.
No, she's not.
Brooke is.
Basically,
Younger than I am.
I had sent her our bylaw. I had sent her our bylaw that didn't get passed.
Oh, what'd she think?
And she thought that, that we should, there were some things that we should probably take out
Oh,
of that.
she liked the 65-foot?
She liked that. She didn't like the notification.
Oh,
by
well, the-
agricultural.
Oh, nobody liked that.
That's what
That
sunk it.
killed it.
That's all right.
And
No, it's really not.
she also suggested that, that the changes be itemized in the warrant.
Separate votes.
Well, that's what
votes.
we, because, so that's not given to them all in one big
Right.
thing, and, yeah, it gets
Right.
too
Get
confusing.
defeat.
Yeah.
But she also stated that in reading our bylaws, we, as a commission, have the opportunity to write wetlands protection guidelines,
Yeah,
which are not bylaws,
right,
but hold the same weight as a bylaw.
Yeah.
But don't need to go to town meeting. We, as a commission, can write them, approve them.
Interesting.
And put them in. And it is in our current bylaws now that we have that power.
so those are actually, would become the regulations,
Yes.
which
Yep.
don't have to go, right, so
Which
those
don't
become
have
the
to go to town
regulations
meeting.
opposed to the bylaw.
I like that.
So, it's
Yeah.
something that we can look at.
Yeah, there's a couple towns I could get examples
Well,
from.
Situate, I think.
Yeah,
is-
Situate has regulations
we
and a
base-
bylaw, yeah.
what
Oh,
we base
Citrus got
ours-
plenty of regulations.
Yeah.
Right, so, anyway, that's something that I think we
Possible town to
can
do.
look at.
I want to put as many in as
Where I'm from.
possible, just to tick Al off.
Yeah, so, anyway, it was very educational. I'll bring in the paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next time, because
please.
there were some things and orders of conditions that I didn't know, that I'm sure you know, but I think it's, that if I share it, I've
Yeah.
written notes. If I share it with everybody here, it's things that, that we all can be thinking
Yeah.
of as we're talking to, people who are
Yeah.
applying for something.
So are
If
they standard conditions, you mean, that they would?
Yeah,
that would be
standard
in-
conditions,
yeah.
but there are things in there that, you know, when you write an order of conditions, you have in your head like a library of everything
Yeah.
that, and you say, okay, this applies, this applies.
Yeah.
But there were things that she said that would help, I think, in, you know, we might catch something that.
Right.
That you don't think
Right,
is
right.
applicable.
Yeah.
But we could question
Yeah.
whether it was or not.
Yeah.
So,
And they'd all be project-specific, too.
the
you know,
meeting was
some-
about 3 hours, and easily two hours was on orders of conditions.
Oh,
And there were a couple of case studies, and
Yeah.
one in Marion and one in
Go ahead,
the town that's on the other side of Dartmouth, Westport.
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 Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there, someone built a mansion and filled in an entire wetland.
Oh, my God.
And
To
it's
put
still
the
in,
house?
it's still in the courts. It's going.
They didn't make them,
It's still in the courts. They fighting.
Get outta here.
No, and I mean, it's a mansion.
So is the
that they
mansion
built.
on the wetland?
The mansion wasn't. They got approved for the mansion with the little lawn, and then there was a marsh.
But then, so
and
they
then a
filled the
golf
rest of the
course.
marsh?
They filled in the entire marsh so that they had a lawn going right down to the golf course.
Salt marsh?
Yeah.
Because that's like the
Yeah, it was-
worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
It's
and-
nothing
and
in
it
salt
was easily an acre and a half that they
Oh,
filled in.
my God.
So, anyway.
So the people have plenty of money to keep fighting it?
Yep.
well, it's money,
That's
you
what they're doing.
know,
It's-
money
It's
talks.
all money.
Oh,
So
my
anyway,
God.
I'll bring this stuff
I
in
like
to our
to
next
see-
meeting.
I
But
like
it
to
was,
see-
it was,
Is that in Westport, that one?
that was the one in Westport.
I'd like to ask that, once we get this straightened out, the question about what we want to do with the bylaws and orders of condition, that we talk to the Cranberry Growers Association, so that they can see that we're not trying to hurt them. I want them to know that we're trying to help them as long as they obey the rules.
Right. Right.
Because I think that was the Weston Brothers' reaction, typical.
Well, they just didn't, they
just
said to me, I'm gonna have
We have
to
to
call
call
Brooke every time I.
yeah, right.
Every time I dig out a ditch.
Right, it was just what we said, right.
But, okay,
Of course,
so
they-
anyway,
they-
that's it.
Yeah. They called Brooke right away when they wanted to put in a
All right, cool, let's take
solar
care of that.
array, and
Oh, yeah.
we okayed that. But,
Yeah.
so I think that they should understand there's a little tit for
What
tat.
else we got?
Okay, DPW culvert replacement on Hammond Street.
Oh, John Woods, who's very good about, they just had, on Hammond Street was where that other solar project was, they just replaced the culvert. So I just figured I'd just let you know, he called me and I went down and looked and everything. He's very good
Yes.
about doing
Yep.
stuff, like informing me about paving
middle
and
school's
culverts and stuff, yeah. So it wasn't a big deal, it was just a replacement of the culvert.
Okay, good.
So that's an okey-dokey.
That's an okey-dokey.
All right.
So we already did 70 Wareham
Carver
Street.
Middle High.
That's taken care of. So COC request.
You
On
went out
the,
there today?
Carver Middle
Crack.
School,
What'd you
Middle High
find? We
School?
closed the
Yep.
building down? We shut the building
Who
down?
went to see that? Brooke, you did?
I
And
did say
Dan?
Bree and Dan.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
They did a nice job.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
it's beautiful.
The tax dollars, how'd it
Yeah,
work?
and everything down near the wetland, that whole little ditch that was along the side outside
Yeah.
the fence, that's all, just grown over.
Frogs?
And, didn't see any frogs.
Sorry, Tim.
They were all on Center Street.
You know, they
You're
got
never
these
gonna
little yellow dotted things running around
They're all
down
in
there.
the
No,
French restaurant.
you're never gonna hear the end of that, the turtle thing, so, you do realize.
I'm gonna, from now on.
It's all
I'm gonna-
said in love and
If
jest.
it was up to Alan, he'd kill them all probably.
No, I wouldn't. I got a whole pond full. I got a whole pond full of frogs. They scream all night long.
I think there
Okay.
were,
Beepers are beautiful. I'm gonna wear my beeper T-shirt next time.
there were two things,
I have a
Brooke,
beeper T-shirt.
there were two things that we wanted to ask.
Yes,
About this, we're in approving it.
Right.
There was the large tire
yeah,
in the wetland. That
See if they
Dan
could get-
probably correctly stated was for cross-training.
yeah.
And then there was that covered pallet where the.
Yeah, that was across the
Across
ditch.
the ditch. That may have been, because it was mowed on either side of that, so it may have been
Right.
what they did for the cross-country running team.
That's what, yeah, because it goes from one field to the other,
But I
to the
think
upper
we should
field.
just
They can
find out
jump it.
why they were,
Ad hoc bridge.
They're kids, they can jump it.
Yeah.
right, but the tire should be removed and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
just ask why why the bridge was there, or that little pallet was there.
Yeah, okay.
And make sure that water can get under it.
Yeah, it looked like it could.
And the
Didn't it? I
frogs.
mean, I think it was high enough, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll ask him. Yeah, that's
Why
gotta
can't
be
they
good.
jump it? It's cross-country.
Frogs.
Jeez.
Don't forget the
Yeah, $5 million.
And that would become oriented poles.
Yeah, that'd be more of a challenge, I guess, right?
Okay, let's look at the minutes from May 15th, please.
All right, I looked at them.
I'm done.
My turn.
There they are.
Bill-
I read them in advance, so I'll make a motion to approve them as written.
I have one correction. Under new hearings, Edaville Land Holdings,
Yeah.
everywhere that Mr. Deli Priscoli's name appears, the deli has 2 L's in it, not 1.
Oh, okay.
So it's now where you get a sandwich.
We'll be sued otherwise.
2 L's in Delhi.
Yes, and as far as I can see, it's in 5 places. On
Oh, okay.
pages 2 and 3. So everywhere that it's written, it's incorrect.
Okay.
Well,
I think
page
everybody
2 at the
spells it
bottom
that
is
way,
like
too.
3 places.
It's actually hyphenated, too, isn't it? Isn't there a dash
Deli
between the
Priscoli, I think
names?
so.
Deli Priscoli?
Yeah, it could be. I've seen it both ways, so, but I know that the deli has.
Okay.
I'll make that motion to accept as amended by Savory.
I'll second that.
I just want.
So Delhi has 2 L's. Okay, so it does, she hasn't got, yeah, she's only got 1. Okay.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes as presented. All those in
With
favor, please say aye.
With amendments.
Oh, with amendments. There were corrections? So
Yeah.
as amendment.
So who made the motion?
I did.
And I
Savory
seconded
seconded it,
Alan, Savory, 2 second
That's right.
with Ching.
with the change to the spelling on Mr. Della Priscoli.
Okay, so all those in favor of accepting this as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, okay, pass unanimous.
There would be one abstention,
Hey,
Mr.
Val.
Chairman, would it not? Because you were not.
Oh, yes, I guess so.
Gotta go. Rise and shine.
No disrespect, but
Oh, well, I guess
you can be mad if you want, but
oh, I don't care one way or another.
Can you accept?
no,
You
you
weren't here?
can't. He wasn't here.
Oh.
Can't vote on the minutes of the
Okay, so
meeting
one
if he wasn't in
abstain.
attendance. So before 0-1.
4, 0, 1.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
One quick thing.
What?
It's anticipated, the thing that Dan, by Shady Acres,
Oh,
the
Shady
bog
Acres.
that's being,
Causing all kinds of trouble tonight.
this, I got a
Up
call
behind
from.
the
Zero
Zero,
shoestring.
yeah, Zero Shoestring. I got a call from the girl who works at Shady Acres,
Jackie?
Jackie, yep, and
That's the
on
campground?
weekends.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you go drive out, like beyond the campground, this is a wetland
It's all
bog.
bogs out there.
That apparently 15, 20 people are going there on weekends and just like the cutting trees and driving over the bog. The bog's connected to the pond.
Yeah.
With a stream going through it. I didn't look at the whole thing because she said they're not really particularly nice people and I didn't want to get caught. But anyway, but Dan had found out about it through a Miles Standish contact. So the other side of it's Miles
DCR let
Standish.
me know through Friends of Miles Standish.
Right.
So I have the name of, this is just a picture, of it, and they have the name of the property owner, so I figured we could send them a letter and have them come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
And just find, I mean, they shouldn't be, they're apparently, they're just
Who
kind of
is
ruining
the
the whole
property owner? Is it not the Shady?
Kenneth
It's
Kelly.
Kenneth Kelly, yeah.
Shamrock
I
Circle.
mean, it's an abandoned
East
bog, but it's
Wareham.
now a wetland. It's definitely a wetland. I mean, there's a stream running
Yes,
through the middle
yes,
of
I
it. It's
know,
connected
yeah.
to the little lake that, on the
Is
Shady
it, what does it
Acres
have to
property.
do with Shady Acres?
It's right next
Nothing,
to
I just got the call from them because they can
Is
hear
it their
them.
campers that are doing this?
No, no.
No, it's
They're
the
campers that
owner,
are being
the owner of
disturbed
that
by it.
property, yeah.
The owner of the property doing it.
Their
Right.
campers are being disturbed by it. We should send this guy a letter and tell him to come in.
That's what I figured. I mean, they shouldn't be.
And we should, in that letter, we should, be very polite and
Right.
make it a cease and desist, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Yeah, they shouldn't be driving, ATVs
Works for me.
and dirt bikes and everything.
Can we have
Well.
him appear in irons?
No, but I think a cease and desist is, carries a little bit of a bite when you get that letter from the Conservation Commission, without it being an enforcement
I
order.
don't, see
you know,
anything
just
there.
We'll do our regular, like our violation letter.
Okay.
And we'll tell him to come to the next meeting, which he may not show up, because she said they're not particularly.
Well, that's fine.
Okay, well,
I would
if
send
he
that
doesn't show up,
certified.
then we send the enforcement order.
Right, right.
Right,
yeah,
but I would send this
Yeah.
letter certified.
Yeah, we usually
If
do.
that doesn't work, we send him an enforcement order.
Yeah.
And remind him, if he doesn't show up, an enforcement order will be
Okay.
coming.
If that doesn't work, we send Tim and the dog.
And the frogs.
And the frog.
Tim and the dog
And
and
a
the frogs.
salamander.
Tim and the dog and the frog.
I have a salamander on leash.
On a leash.
Also, I just want to add also that before, if we have site visits before our next visit, we may want to include Pine Ridge condominiums.
Oh,
Yeah, what's
okay.
going on with that?
I was out in my boat the other day, and there was a guy in the water with a shovel at the beach that we told him they couldn't build. So I want to get a little closer when there's no one around.
Unless they're
I
just.
remember the
Out the
beach that they couldn't build, but didn't we do something about they could
Clean-
I want to get closer and see.
clean
what-
out the weeds
What
or
he's
something
doing.
like that?
They could rake
He's
up
in there with
the.
a shovel, he's doing some serious weeding.
Well, they can't bring in any sand, but I think we said they could scrape the sand up.
That's
Did we
right,
say
they can
could
take
do
the
that?
sand
Right.
that's drifted into the lake and bring it back up. That we did acknowledge, I thought.
I know.
No.
I thought we told them that they could rake
They-
the seaweed in the water so they could wade out there, but not bring any sand up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought.
Because they
I don't
really
know,
didn't
we
have
have
a
to-
beach there.
They didn't have
No.
a beach.
No,
didn't
they were
have a
kinda
beach.
sitting
Very
in the
steep
chairs,
slope.
remember?
It was a steep slope, and we
Right.
gave them a width from this tree to this tree.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
right,
when they
that's
cut
right.
more, they cut trees on the
Right,
left.
right.
Well, now they've got a chimenea there and
Oh,
chairs.
okay,
and,
so they're creating a beach,
so-
pretty much, without bringing
Yeah.
sand in.
So I want to get a little closer to the
Okay.
boat.
All right, do Snoopy.
walk
Get a
across
telephoto lens.
I have a telephoto lens, but I can't get higher. I need to get closer so I can see down.
He's a mole in Sampson's Pond.
Just send out the drone.
So
That's
that's
what I
it.
was thinking, you need a drone, man.
I got one.
And just so you know, the next meeting, we have
I got one.
two huge solar
Okay, I gotta run,
projects.
guys.
All right.
Rochester Road and
Let's do
Tremont
this
Street
cancel
on
stuff. Get out of
active
here.
bogs. Oh, well, actually, dual use.
Rochester Road, where?
I don't mean to be
It
pushy,
just
guys.
says zero
All right,
Rochester.
motion to
so we'll have
adjourn.
I second.
Rochester Road and Tremont,
I already seconded his motion to adjourn.
big
All
dual
those in
use.
favor?
Tim's got to go.
Okay,
Next Sun.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
We're out.
we're adjourned.